We had a shocking magnitude 3.8 earthquake striking Kansas. Let's remember it's an area of 11 diamond-spewing volcanoes, and aftershocks were felt in Kansas and Oklahoma as well. Now look at this. This is a mid-continental rift. That's all magma under there. And if you look at the bottom, like 7 o'clock area, that's Kansas. It goes into Kansas, Oklahoma, but it also goes all the way down, as you'll see in the next image, all the way down to the west towards New Mexico, and then goes west to Arizona. Now, I don't know if it also joins into the Baja California mantle plume, but this is something most people don't know about. You see that horseshoe shaped over the Great Lakes? Well, that western branch goes all the way down through Kansas, Oklahoma, and then turns into New Mexico, Arizona. That magma has been there since 1 billion years ago. And most people don't know that the central United States has this magma underneath, and that's why it's stretching. That area is stretching, becoming flat. It's a rift. It's a mid-continental rift. Kindly support my Patreon channel because YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. You'll find at least 5 videos daily, even though there's a lot more because of YouTube restrictions on sensitive election material. I'm sure you'll find them interesting. They're totally different from what I have on YouTube. You'll find the link in the description box below each video. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so this is it, the horseshoe shaped, the ancient rift valley over the lakes. Those lakes, as we know, we even have the Great Rift in Africa. We have volcanoes there with the magma, and at one point it will separate, just like Madagascar did, but it also has lakes there as well, and volcanoes. And now we have these things here. Many people don't know that we have this mantle plume and magma underneath, stretching into the central United States. Now we also have 11 volcanoes in Kansas. A lot of people had left comments about their houses shaking, the scent of sulfur, the rotten egg smell, and the fact that they hear booms from underneath there. That's because, these gases, these volcanic and earthquake gases, have to come out. And the Kimberlite, the diamond-spewing volcanoes, are very explosive. I'm not saying that, Kansas is going to explode with volcanoes, but you do have this activity there. Now, this is 3.8. Let's take a look at Sizewell, Berkeley to see over 2,500 people have reported feeling it. Let's take a look at the map. Here we are, and this is Kansas, Oklahoma. It's basically just above the border of, it's about 50 miles north of the Kansas-Oklahoma border. And basically, these are the Great Lakes. This is where the mantle plume that we saw going into this way, the western branch of it, the horseshoe mantle plume, and the eastern part goes into the area of the New Madrid seismic zone, which is another rift zone. It should be called New Madrid Rift Valley, Rift Zone, and because of the fact that this is splitting this way as well. So basically you have the United States splitting here, this going towards the southeast, then you have this thing here splitting here, from that horseshoe, the Cowina Fault this way. That mantle plume goes this way, running through here, and then goes into Texas, then goes into New Mexico and Arizona that way. Now, the Baja California plume goes into the San Andreas Fault and the Walker Lane Fault system here, where the high threat volcanoes of California are. That's the western plume of it, and the eastern branch is like a Y shape. The eastern branch goes in through Salt Lake City, Idaho, and Yellowstone. Yellowstone is right here. So this is what we had today, the 3.5. There we go. Oh, that's the smaller ones. These are the smaller ones. Okay, this is what we had today, the 3.8, sorry, not 3.5, shallow earthquake. And then you can see here we've had aftershocks. This one is just now. And this is what it looks like. And the aerial, this is the aerial. Okay. Now, let's go back to this so we can see how many people have right now felt it. About 2,372 reported it to USGS, and It's in Wichita, basically Wichita, Kansas. And we know that most of North America east of the Rockies has infrequent earthquakes. Here and there, earthquakes are more numerous, for example, in New Madrid seismic zone and the Clairvaux-Kamaraska seismic zone of East Quebec, New England and New York, Philadelphia, Wilmington, and elsewhere. But most of the enormous regions from the Rockies to the Atlantic can go years without an earthquake large enough to be felt. Well, this obviously was felt, 3.8. The earthquakes east of the Rocky Mountains, although less frequent in the west than in the west, are typically felt over a much broader region than earthquakes of similar magnitude in the west. East of the Rockies, an earthquake can be felt over an area more than 10 times larger than a similar magnitude earthquake in the west. It would not be unusual for a magnitude 4 earthquake in eastern and Central America to be felt by a significant percentage of the population, many communities more than 60 miles from its source, okay? So now it says here, most earthquakes in North America east of the Rockies occur as faulting within bedrock, usually miles deep. Few earthquakes east of the Rockies have been definitely linked to mapped geological faults, in contrast to the situation at plate boundaries, where scientists can commonly use geologic evidence to identify the fault. Now, that's because, okay, we have a softer region here. Yes, okay, so this is it right here. Okay, and this is what we saw before, that crack here, right here, going here, and then the other crack going this way, right here. Mississippi River, the lakes, and St. Lawrence River. It doesn't have that much to crack, really. The New Madrid seismic zone, it doesn't have that much to crack. The river, anywhere you have rivers, you have fault line. Rivers are in fault lines, okay? So everyone there, please be very careful. As we said before, this is where you have your, okay, there may be a lot of, I don't know how much Oklahoma, you know, fracking and everything, but the thing is that you do have the Kimberlite volcanoes there. I did a couple of videos on that months ago because of the fact that we went into that to find out what was going on. This is one of the lines. This is one of the earthquake lines we saw before, okay? So you can see how huge of an area this is, okay? 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 600 miles. But of course it stops there. USGS stops the frequencies there. Look how intense it is. I wouldn't doubt that it was felt even up here. We'll go back to the topographic. Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, even Chicago, Illinois. All this area could have been shaken. A multi-state area. So all of you there, please be very careful. That was big, and as we know, earthquakes beget more earthquakes. And thank you for your support. And again, I wish you a beautiful Christmas season with health and prosperity and happiness and a wonderful new year. Thank you.